gonna read and we're gonna talk. We're gonna learn and it's gonna rock. We're gonna answer 3 questions, it's a walk in the park. It's Mr. Clark's Corner, now here's Mr. Clark.
Have you ever played hide and seek? Hide and seek is a game that has been played for hundreds of years. Generation after generation has played this classic game, and I used to play a lot as I was a kid too. What was your favorite part about hide and seek? To me, the hiding part isn't my favorite part about hide and seek. It's not the most exciting part. I mean, you can go and look for a hiding spot and you can wait for someone to find you and it's fine. But the most exciting, my favorite part is trying to be the person to find the other people. It's like a big puzzle. And without someone who was trying to find the other people, the game of hide and seek wouldn't work. It's important to try to seek, to try to find somebody. Have you ever done a puzzle in a book where you maybe see 2 of the same picture, but a couple of things are changed and you have to find the differences? It's fun to work your mind and try to see the differences in each picture. Or maybe you've done a Where's Waldo puzzle. It's a book where there's a guy named Waldo dressed up in a white and red striped cap, and you have to find Waldo in the picture. And it's fun to try to find him. Maybe you've done a scavenger hunt where you have a list of things, and you have to go find and check off every time you find the thing on the list. Seeking, trying to find, trying to see things is fun. Mr. Luke talked about what it means to try to see when God is at work on Sunday in church this last week. And trying to see God at work isn't necessarily about your eyesight, right? It's not about if you have glasses or if you have perfect vision. It's more about knowing when God is working here on earth. And he talked about a man named Simeon. And Simeon was able to see with his eyes, but also understand with his heart and his mind that God was at work. Let's read in Luke chapter 2. Remember, Simeon was at the temple, and God had promised him one thing. And the one thing that God had promised Simeon is that he would see the Messiah before he died. He would see the Christ, the promised one. We know that's Jesus, but Simeon didn't know who it was. So Mary and Joseph were taking Jesus to the temple because that's what they had to do with every Jewish baby. And it's not technically part of the Christmas story because it happened a little bit of time, maybe like a month after he was born. But he was still a baby. And when Mary and Joseph brought Jesus to the temple, as soon as Simeon saw Jesus, he knew that was the Messiah, the promised one. So let's read what Simeon said about Jesus. Simeon took Jesus in his arms and he praised God and he said, and this is Luke chapter 2 verse 29 now, Lord, you are the king over all. Now let me, your servant, go in peace. That is what you promised. My eyes have seen your salvation. You have prepared it in the sight of all people. It is a light to be given to those who aren't Jews. It will bring glory to your people, Israel. What was the promise that God had promised Simeon? That before Simeon died, he would see the Savior, the Messiah. And once Simeon had seen Jesus, he said, now you can let me go in peace. In other words, now when I die, I can die in peace because God, you have promised. You have fulfilled your promise. And Simeon said, my eyes have seen your salvation. And Simeon was right. He literally saw Jesus with his eyes, right? But then Simeon said, you have prepared it in the sight of all people. Not everyone has seen with their eyes Jesus. Even when Jesus was on earth, not everybody in the world saw the face of Jesus. But still, Jesus came in the sight of all people. What in the world could that possibly mean? Well, let's take a break and figure out our code word because that's our code word sound, and our code word of the day is see. S-E-E. See. So write that down on a code word card and put it in the mailbox outside of my office. But seeing when God is at work, the fact that Jesus came in the sight of all people doesn't necessarily mean that we see with our eyes or even that we read in the book. What does matter is that we understand that Jesus came, the Son of God came, and became a human. And he was 100% human, and he was 100% God. And the fact that Jesus came, that God came down to earth to be with us, to be one of us, means that he has done it in the sight of all people. His salvation is for everyone. And it's our job to see, not with our eyes, but with our hearts, to understand that God is working here on earth. And that's going to bring us to today's 3 questions. Question number 1, how can you see when God is at work? Question number 2, when have you seen God at work? Question number 3, what can you do to help others see when God is at work? Well, that's going to do it for Mr. Clark's Corner. I'm Mr. Clark. This is my corner. Happy New Year. Adios, amigos.
Okay, we read, alright, we talked. Oh, yes, we learned, and you know we rocked. We even answered 3 questions, man, what a fun day. It's Mr. Clark's Corner, I'll see you on Sunday.